Will Liverpool regain stability in the next match week? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think? Of course, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be rounding up the Premier League results that happened over the weekend. Of course, the first match that we'll be looking at, Arsenal jumped straight to the top of the table with a controlled win over West Ham, winning 2-0 over there on Mikel Arteta's anniversary, 300th game in charge. So what a milestone. What an achievement for Mikel Arteta as well. Declan Rice scored against his former club. Bukayo Saka converted a penalty, securing their 2-0 win at home to West Ham. Of course, fantastic result for Arsenal. Of course, like I said, they jumped up over table. The only downside to Arsenal, the captain, Martin Odegaard, picked up a knee injury and had to be subbed off during the game. Doesn't really look good for Arsenal or for Martin Odegaard. You know that he's a key player for Arsenal. But let's see how they cope without Martin Odegaard in their midfield. I think that they'll still manage, but for how long is the question. Let me know what do you think. Of course, Liverpool, their troubles still continue. Estevao scoring in the 95th minute, winner for Chelsea. Really a heartbreaking moment for Liverpool, handing Liverpool their third straight defeat going into the international break. You know, it's never a good thing for a team to go on such a low into the international break. It's really going to pose some doubts for them as well. Moises Caicedo really played impressively, dominating that midfield. I think that he was fantastic, scoring that goal as well. Um, Pundits are already saying that Liverpool's attack really look toothless. Is that true? Do you agree with that statement? We've seen what Gary Neville has said about Liverpool. They really look toothless in the end. But let me know what you think about Liverpool's performances so far. I think that they've got a lot of issues to address. First of all, those signings that they make doesn't really balance out the team. Of course, they're fantastic signings, but Liverpool really need to find a balance. It's clear that Arne Slot is not really happy with the right back position in particular. We've seen he's made three changes in that position. Conor Bradley play there, as well as Soboslai play there, Frimpong play there. So there's really question marks over that position. Of course, even on the other side, on the left wing, left back position. We've seen Kirkes play there, and we've seen Robertson play there as well. I think that Robertson had a poor game against Chelsea. He really let that go in the end. But some question marks over those two positions. We've seen Frimpong, like I said, he's a fantastic player going forward, but his defensive work is really a huge question mark for Arne Slot. The same with Kirkes. He's not supporting Van Dijk as he should. Um, so some question marks over those two positions. But let's see how Liverpool cope and how Liverpool will be able to find the balance in this team. I think that they are still a big threat concerning the title. So we cannot write off teams like Liverpool. But let's see what happens further into the season. Of course, we have Crystal Palace versus Everton. Of course, Jack Grealish scoring that last minute goal. Crystal Palace long unbeaten run, 19 games finally came to an end, where Jack Grealish scored in the 93rd minute, sealing that victory over at Everton 2-1 victory. First of all, fantastic or good milestone for Crystal Palace. 19 games unbeaten. That's a remarkable achievement. Of course, Jack really scored there. Palace had looked dangerous in the first half, but let the game really slip away in the second half. So some question marks to look at in that Crystal Palace team. But nevertheless, fantastic display by Jack Grealish and Everton in the end. Some key match outlines that we should really pay attention to. Also, Bournemouth beating Fulham 3-1 in the end. Semenyo scoring that brace, and Bournemouth jumped to second place. The question is, how long will they maintain or sustain that position? Is the next question. Are they genuine title um, top four contenders? Let me know in the comment section what do you think about that. Of course, Tottenham versus Leeds, Mohamed Kudus scoring, showing some promise signs under Thomas Frank. I think that Thomas Frank is a good coach. I really like his style of play. We've seen how he played at Bournemouth, really attacking football, controlled football as well. So yeah, I think that Thomas Frank is a good fit for Tottenham. But let's see how he performs this season. Will he get top four? Of course, that is the goal for Tottenham to get top four back into the Champions League as well, and hopefully win a trophy as well. Of course, finally for Manchester United beating Sunderland 2-0. Mason Mount and Cisco got on a score sheet again, ensuring the new boss Ruben Amorim or buying him some time, in my opinion. Can Manchester United build on this victory? I've always said that Manchester United needs some time with Ruben Amorim. It's never a good look for Manchester United to change their coaches again. Probably have to start over, get new coaching staff, and so on and so forth. We spoke about it in our previous video. Also, Manchester United fans, does this assert some confidence in the manager Ruben Amorim, or is it just buying time for Ruben Amorim? My question was, will he be sacked before the winter transfer window happens? We'll never know. Let's see what happens. Then, of course, we have Wolves versus Brighton. Brighton salvage a point in the end. Meanwhile, Wolves still remain winless this season. They are sitting in a relegation battle. What do you think? Who are the teams that will be relegated come the end of the season? It definitely looks like Wolves could be one of them. They're still without a win. I think they've only got 1 point now, if I'm not mistaken, on uh, on the on the scorecard. But they are sitting in a relegation battle. Hopefully, after the international break, they'll find some form of stability and get some wins under the belt to really get the season going. We'll never know. Let's see what happens with Wolves this season. Then, of course, title race table and some of the trends that's happening. Arsenal lead right now. I think they sit on top with 2 points, 2 or 3 points. Um, the gap is still very fine, or very thin. Still early in the season as well. There are some teams that's not too far away. I think Manchester City still sit 3 points behind Arsenal. That's from Manchester City's perspective. That's a decent gap, and I think Pep will be content with that gap that they are sitting in on the table. Of course, it's international break. Let's see what happens when they do come back. Arsenal's depth is still being tested with injuries, but their balance has really locked in. I think that the defensive line is key for Arsenal. We've seen Gabriel and Saliba, even Julian Timber there, doing really well in that back line for Arsenal. It's just the question marks over their midfield. Martin Odegaard got injured, so let's see how that injury is managed and when he'll be back. But they still look strong. They really still look strong and like a decent team. Question marks. We still on Ateta. Will he win a trophy this season? Is it about time that he wins a trophy? If he doesn't win anything, some real question marks will be on Arsenal and Ateta as well. Also, Liverpool's confidence is really dropped, seeing that they lost three straight wins in a row. Lost three straight games, sorry, in a row, and their attack doesn't seem to be clicking. Isak is still trying to find his feet in this Liverpool team. I think Ekiteke getting injured really hampered their attacking threats. Mo Salah doesn't look the same player, but we know what he's capable of. We know when Salah is firing on all cylinders, he can really be unstoppable. So let's see what happens when they come back from the international break, but definitely not a good look for Liverpool. Of course, Bournemouth and Tottenham are the dark horses right now. They still in the top four races, but will they be able to maintain those positions is the big question mark. Manchester City, on the other hand, are still hanging around there. I think they've got a long season ahead of them, even though they just 3 points off Arsenal sit at top. But question marks are still in Liverpool or Manchester City's midfield with Rodri being injured. Will Nico Gonzalez be able to maintain that position in the midfield? I think that they should be starting Nico Gonzalez more, or he should be the one that should be playing in that position because I think that he needs some time in that position. He needs to, find a rhythm in the team and really get things moving on in that competition in that position, in fact, for Manchester City. Then Rodri can be the player that comes off the bench or plays in those cup games and so on and so forth. But in my opinion, I think Nico Gonzalez should start. We know that Rodri is the player in that position, but right now that might hamper Manchester City's performances, in and out of the team. We're not sure how we play. So I think that Pep should give Nico Gonzalez some time to really find his position and let Rodri bed into the team slowly. But let me know in the comment section what do you think about Nico Gonzalez playing in that team. Um, on to the next segment. Haaland scoring in his ninth straight game a goal. So his consistency is really becoming a thing now. Haaland scoring in every single game so far, nine games in a row is scoring. I think that's in all competitions. In fact, I think that if Manchester City do get something out of this season, I think that Haaland will be key. But the big question is on Erling Haaland. Of the 15 goals that they scored in the Premier League, 9 of those goals came from Erling Haaland. So that just shows that Man City are really heavily depending on Haaland. What happens if he does get injured? Where will the goals come from? We know that Doku is also a threat and can make things happen. But Haaland being the talisman for Manchester City can raise some issues because we know that Haaland is also injury prone. He can pick up an injury. I think ever since he's been here, he's had an injury every season. Although it's been minor injuries, a knock here and there, but still, those are goals that we will be missing in that team as well. Of course, Esteval Willian super sub came on and scored that last minute dramatic winner in the end. In fact, he actually reminds me of Willian, the other Brazilian Willian. Chelsea fans, let me know what you think. His style of play, his physique, the type of player he is, the position he plays. He kind of like reminds me of Willian in a way. Just he's a left footer, I think. So yeah, fantastic for that young player. We know that young players always want to make their mark in the first team. So Maresca will really have to figure out a way to get him into the team. Then, of course, Jack Grealish. Um, I think Jack Grealish is really doing fantastic at Everton. The question is Jack Grealish a type of player that will fit into this mid-team tables where he is the centerpiece or the vocal point for their team? Because we've seen Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, he was a fantastic player. We see now Jack Grealish at Everton. He's playing very good. I think that he can really pull the strings in terms of creativity for that Everton team. I don't know. Remember, he's still on loan at Everton from Manchester City. Who knows? Maybe when he comes back, he'll have that confidence back. He'll have his rhythm, his form back, and then hopefully he can make a difference in the Man City team. Or will he be leaving? So let me know in the comment section, Manchester City fans, what do you think? Do you think Jack Grealish is only capable of playing in this mid-table teams, respectfully, where he is the center or the vocal point at the team? But I do think that he is still a fantastic player. It's just who knows what happens with Jack Grealish come the end of the season. Of course, what to watch out next in the Premier League. How will Martin Odegaard cope with the injury? That's some question marks to see. But I do think that they do have some options in the midfield. Maybe that creativity they might lose in the midfield. So let's see what happens. Can Liverpool stabilize, or is the relooting needed in the transfer window? Do they need to go back to the transfer window and find some players to find the balance? Because it's clear that in this Liverpool team, the balance is not right in that team. That's in my opinion. I think Verts is a fantastic player. We yet to see what he can do in the Premier League. Or does Liverpool just need some time? Can they afford time? We know that they spent heavily in this transfer window. So I think the way they spend this transfer window really show their intention that they really want to go out and win the league, retain the Premier League title. But if they're performing the way they're performing right now, it might be very difficult for them. So they really need to figure out that balance And looking at Arne Slot as the manager, I also think that he's a fantastic manager. But in my opinion, like I said in my previous video, he basically had a free hit last season. Although they won the league without buying any players, but now the real test and the real challenge for Arne Slot is this season. Let's see what Arne Slot is capable of. What are his strengths? What can he bring to the Premier League? So some question marks over this Liverpool team as well. Teams like Bournemouth and Tottenham, will they fall off? Um, those are the big question marks for these teams. We know that they sit in that Champions League spot, qualifying spot, but how long can they maintain those positions? Let's see what happens after December, after the transfer window opens or closes. Let's see what will happen with these teams, where these teams are sitting. My opinion, I think that come December, come the halfway point, that's where we will be able to see more or less where the teams are, who will be there and thereabout in the title race. So let's see what happens. Then, of course, Rodri's injury is still a concern for Manchester City. In fact, that whole midfield is still a concern for Manchester City. Will Rodri's injury hamper Manchester City's title race? In my opinion, I think that Guardiola should just stick with Nico Gonzalez. I think that they should give him some chance there and let Rodri be that second player in that position to help Rodri bed into the team. Some game time is crucial for Rodri as well. I know that Rodri, he is pushing to get into the team despite his form and so forth. But let's see what happens. Also, will there be any dark horses? Who do you think will make top four, or is it too soon to say right now, or should we wait until the halfway point to see who will make top four? But teams like Tottenham are still there and thereabout. Chelsea are still there. Of course, your usual Arsenal, Liverpool. Questions marks are still over Manchester City. Will they make it to top four? I think they will. They've got a good chance to regain their Premier League title. So let's see what happens. So that's the end of our video this week. Let me know in the comment section which match stood out for you the most and what are some surprises that happened. Again, will Liverpool regain their confidence, or will they find some stability to get them on track again? Let me know in the comment section once again. And once again, thank you so much for all the views, the subscribers. Really looking forward to our next milestone, 500 subs. We currently sitting at just over 140 subs at the moment. So let me know in the comment section what do you think, and I'll check you guys in the next video. Peace out.